So, I haven't done a video today, and I'm going to be doing one for you. So this is going to be one character in each category that you see a lot in the meta at low tier that you could bring if you go to high tier and get some value out of, that I don't see a lot of people playing. And then one champion at high tier play that you should avoid at low tier. So I'm going to start off with healers because that's the easiest example. So looking at Ana is the high tier character that you want to avoid at low tier. So looking at what her kit has, she has a solid way to heal allies by shooting them, which she can perform at long range. She has the ability to eliminate enemy teammates for a short amount of time. Mostly this ability is good for canceling like ults. She has her biotic grenade, which is basically a good way to chunk up and heal allies and increase their healing. And then obviously she has her nano boost as an ult, which basically makes a tank do more damage, more speed, take less damage. And why do I say Ana is such a bad low tier pick? Even if you have the mechanical aim for her. Realistically, her kit has two things that you don't see a lot of. So the first thing is allies grouping up. The lower tier you are, the less coordinated you are going to see people grouping up. So the effectiveness of her biotic grenade is not as good in a group, which makes it harder to get the value out of that ability, especially with such a long cooldown. The other trade-off is being able to effectively use nano boost. Normally at a low tier, you are going to see Ana's amping high DPS targets like Bastion, Symmetra, Soldier, Hanzo, people that deal either heavy automatic fire, like your Bastion and your Soldier, or that people that hit incredibly hard, like Widows and Hanzos. But if you look at what the ability says, it reduces the damage they take. Realistically, Nano Boost is better to be used on a tank like Roadhog, like Rhine. Somebody that has to get into the thick of things and take a lot of damage at close range, but can dish out a lot of damage at close range. It's good on somebody like an Orisa, who's already tanky. I think the main issue with Ana is highly coordinated team play that you don't see at a high level. One support that you can take from a low level and bring up to a high level that I don't see a lot of people play is Mercy. And I mention this because you have Baptiste, where Baptiste is good at any rank as long as you know how to play him. Brig, again, she's good at any rank depending on the team comp. She mostly works for dive comp. You have Lucio and Moira, who's your main 1-2. You have Zenyatta, who's really in a bad place. He's pretty much just an off heal. But you have Mercy, who I hit May by accident. You have Mercy, who I don't see a lot at a high level play because people look at her and they say, well, she has two things going for her. She has hold R2 and I heal you, and she has hold R1 and you do damage. And what people look at her and say, oh, well, she has a res, she has no real way to do damage. If you bring a Moira, if you bring a Mercy compared to a Moira, Moira is able to not only do damage and heal at the same time, but she's also able to do good healing and good damage. Whereas Mercy is, I heal one person at a time, I increase one person's damage at a time. And it, realistically, I think the thing that people don't really understand with Mercy is that she is so powerful because of her mobility. The ability to fly between teammates to rapidly reposition and move healing around the battlefield is fairly effective, especially in a well-coordinated team. Now, people say, oh, well, I need to pair her with a Pharah to get the benefit out of her. And Pharah is a champion that's not really played a lot at high-level play, so Mercy loses all of her value. Realistically, Mercy is solid if your plan is, I'm going to pocket a DPS with healing and damage amp, and I'm going to res the tanks. So I let my other healer focus more on healing the tanks and if they slip up and let him die, then I'm able to go in with the res and get them back into the fight so we don't lose such a core piece of our team. And the fact that she has pretty much the weakest ult of the support class, realistically, you're using that for mobility to move your team around better, and you're using it to bounce between targets. You know, if you want to go aggro with it as a damage Mercy, which Mercy's damage is not that bad. It's not good, it's not bad. But Mercy is a champion you can bring with you if you're going from low level to high level, and still get some value out of it. You may get shit on for it, but you do get some value out of it. Moving on to the tank category, a tank that I see a lot in high level play that I don't see perform very well at low level play is Wrecking Ball. And the thing with Wrecking Ball is he just requires so much skill in order to manage. A lot of Wrecking Balls view him as just a tankier version of Soldier. That they basically have a sprint ability in the fact that they can roll into a ball and run away. So they think, oh, well, that's his sprint ability. And they have an automatic fire weapon, so they think, oh, well, this is just my ability. So basically you swap out a heal for a shield in the form of Wrecking Ball. People don't really understand what Wrecking Ball is designed to do. Wrecking Ball is designed to be a crowd-controlled dive tank. He's designed to take his grappling hook and use it to knock the enemy team around and to use Pile Driver to displace the enemy team and deal good chunk damage. And his shielding does not work like a conventional shield. He gets more shielding the more people are near him, the more enemies are near him. So it's not as simple as, oh, I'm just going to swing in with my grappling hook, spin around for a few seconds and knock everybody around, deploy my minefield, and my work here is done. He requires a lot of map knowledge as to where you can grapple from for the maximum value, and knowing how to combo abilities, knowing how to combo your grappling hook into your Pile Driver, knowing how to combo your Pile Driver into your shield, knowing how to combo your minefield into a Pile Driver, or the minefield into an adaptive shield, or because everybody knows how you can combo that. I think really he is the tank that at low ranks I would try and avoid, because you're not going to get a lot of value out of him because his style of play is just so bad. He works best against grouped up enemies. And a tank that you can take with you from low level play up to high level play is going to be Roadhog. I do see Roadhog at high level play, and the common thing is because what Roadhog has going for him is his hook and his heal. And his heal is only good at low levels because the healers are not as good, and his hook is only good at low levels because people don't know how to avoid it. People look at him and say, well, his ult is shit. He has one of the worst ults for the tank category, because people look at it as being just a knockback and a shield break. And they're like, well, if I want to break shields, I'll just run Sigma, or I'll run Orisa. And if I want to get knockback, I'll just run Lucio, or Ashe, or D.Va, or Wrecking Ball, or anybody with a knockback other than Roadhog, who I have to use an ult for. What people forget about Roadhog is he's basically a 1v1 artist. He's basically like a Reaper, but with triple the health. If you think that Reaper is such a strong character, having a shotgun, an ability to heal himself, and the ability to hook people into him, so instead of having to get to them, he can bring them to him. It makes him a very strong tank. He works well against double shield comps like Rein Sigma or Orisa Sigma, because you're going to see him breaking shields pretty easily, and he can hook them out of certain abilities. Like he can hook Rein out of charge, he can hook Sigma out of kinetic grasp, he can hook Orisa as long as she doesn't have Fortify up. So he's a good counter to a lot of the stronger tanks in the game, but people underrate him because they look at him as, oh yeah, his ult is shit and his heal is really only there because you don't know how to heal. For the last category, we gotta look at DPS, and I had to look at a character that's used a lot at high level play that you're not gonna see, that you should not use at low levels. For me, that's Tracer. Does not get the value she should at a low rank game. Period. What Tracer has is a powerful short-range weapon that gens ult incredibly fast. One magazine, if you hit your shots on one magazine, you have 20% ult charge. That means if you hit 5 magazines worth of damage, you have your ult. She is quite possibly the fastest ult gen in the game. She does have a high degree of difficulty in terms of how to use her blinks and recalls and managing her mobility. But the big thing is her ult. Her ult is very powerful. But it is lackluster at low-level play because most people don't understand what Tracer's purpose is. Tracer is not a flank. Tracer is basically a Junkrat on a much longer cooldown. If you treat Tracer's ult as a very long cooldown ability, similar to a Mercy Res, with like a 30-second cooldown, you're thinking a lot better. Her ability is dive in, shoot up the place with her pistols, drop an ult, get out. She uses the recall to reset herself so she doesn't immediately die. She uses the blink so she doesn't die while she's farming ult charge. And she uses the ult to destroy the enemy team. That is pretty much her purpose. And at low-level play, Tracer is not a good pick. At low-level play, she gets countered by pretty much anybody. She's not a very good 1v1 character. She's a very good 2v1. You know, for example, if I'm playing Soldier and I'm going up against Tracer, I'm going to win that fight. If I hit my Helix rockets on her, she's either dead or running the fuck away. She's not going to stay and fight me after eating a Helix rocket to the face. At the same time, if I'm playing Tracer and I'm going up against a Soldier and a Reinhardt, well now, that's a different story. Because I can bounce between firing at shooting the Soldier and shooting the Reinhardt. I'm generating ult charge no matter what, but because I'm pinballing between two targets, I'm better off. Tracer's a character that works best the more outnumbered she is, and you don't see that a lot at low-level play. So last character I want to talk about here, this is a sneaky pick. This is a low-level pick that you'll see a lot, that you can get a lot of value up from in high level, is going to be Ashe. I know what you're saying before you begin on me. No, Ashe is garbage. She's really not. Ashe is one of the stronger DPS champions in the game for dealing damage, not for getting kills. She rides a very fine line, somewhere in between Mei, McCree, Widow, and Hanzo, where those are the people that you think for, okay, they're going to go in and get a lot of elims, you know, they have crowd control, well, except for Widow. They have crowd control, they have ways to quickly eliminate targets, to burn them down, and to confirm kills. Well, Ashe doesn't really do that. She can only two-shot people. So why would you pick Ashe when you could pick someone that can one-shot? And she straddles the line between someone like a Bastion, a Genji, a Pharah, Soldier, Torbjorn, Symmetra, Tracer, people that are more designed for dealing damage and setting people up for kills. Well, the thing with Ashe is she's a very versatile character. She has Dynamite that gives her immediate burst damage with additional damage over time, which is very powerful. This gives her the ability to clear room and to create space. If you're going up against a double shield meta, it's very strong for forcing double shield tanks out of positions they want to hold. She has solid long-range damage with her sniper. It is not Widow, but it's the next best thing. Yes, Hanzo's capable of one-shotting at long range as well, but Ashe is arguably easier to hit her shots, especially being a hit scan. She's able to combat people like Pharah a lot easier. You know, you do have a close-range hip fire that you can use. It's not particularly great, but it does its job. And you have a coach gun, which is good CC. And it's not going to be great. It's not a great ability, because it also knocks you back, so you may potentially be killing yourself if you use it improperly. But it's very effective at what it does. And what it does is it displaces the team. And then you have Bob, which you send Bob in, he displaces the enemy team, and he goes to town shooting them. And the thing you have to realize with Bob is that your placement on Bob is everything. People kind of view Ashe similar to how Genji is in the meta right now, where pretty much everyone looks at Genji and says, oh, he's only there for his ult. Which, I can kind of agree with that. Genji's quite shit right now. But Ashe is a bit better because she has versatility. She has CC, she has damage over time, she has burst damage, she has long-range damage, and she has two-shot potential. I think two-shot potential is pretty strong. It's not strong as one-shot potential, but it's stronger than three-shot potential. And I know that sounds like a very idiotic thing to say, but if you look at a character like McCree is a three-shot champion. Unless you hit headshots, which is harder to do on Ashe because he doesn't have a scope. And he has less ammo to work with. Now, yes, he has a better C have as good of an area burst damage. So, Ashe kind of rides that fine line in between being good and bad. She can kind of fill a role. So if you have somebody that's going in and diving and trying to get kills, you can pair up Ashe quite effectively to give big chunks of damage, to burn through shields, to burn through health, so that it makes their job easier. But you can also turn around and pair her with somebody like Symmetra or Torbjorn or Soldier, who's primarily going to be burning through people, and you can focus on eliminating targets at longer ranges. So, hope this video